We can talk now live to Rami Khouri, who's a journalist and an academic at the American University of Beirut in Lebanon. He joins us. Rami, thanks so much for joining us here on the program. We're just saying now, we've been here before. What's the chances of success this time?
Well, the chances are still limited this time like they were before, but they may be just a touch better now because you do have the Russian president and the American president speaking to each other directly on the phone. The American Secretary of State spending much of the last few days working to make this deal work. So there clearly is a heightened desire by some of the main external supporters and funders of the war to bring about some kind of ceasefire. Everybody who is involved in this war is basically losing. Nobody is winning. Everybody is suffering or losing politically. So there's a greater desire to at least bring about a ceasefire, get humanitarian aid through, lower the suffering of the Syrians, and maybe repatriate some refugees. What happens after that is completely up in the air, but I think people are not looking much further than that right now, which is why this ceasefire has a better chance to work than other ones did.
Well, but the fact on the ground remains that there are various factions, there's shifting alliances, and the complexity of the front line in Syria remains.
Right. Part of this arrangement, or their own advancing on the ground, we'll see. We don't know, but clearly there's a huge problem that there are hundreds of smaller rebel groups on the ground. They don't all coordinate that well, but when they're pressured by their external supporters, and when the Syrian government is pressured by its external support, everyone more or less and agrees to do a ceasefire. If about this, and one of the great dilemmas is that there's a lot of people on the ground who are not under the control of any single party.
Indeed, and we often talk about the moderate opposition groups in Syria. We've had the main rebel group who have now agreed to this ceasefire, but they still feel ostracized and abandoned in many ways.
Say that last part again.
There's actually a problem with the line, Rami, but I was just saying that the opposition groups, the main rebel opposition group, has agreed to this partial truce, but they do feel very much abandoned and ostracized.
Sorry, I just couldn't hear that.
Oh, unfortunately, we may have to leave it there, Rami. We know that you've got many good points to make, but unfortunately the line is bad on this particular occasion. Rami Khouri there, a journalist joining us from Beirut. Unfortunately, we've had some troubles there with that line.